Hello, I'm Jan Sherwiński and you're watching Break the Fake. They make them, we break them, and tell you everything you need to know. Russia is at it again, spilling tall tales and trying to sow discord. The usual Tuesday stuff, right? In the latest edition of Accuse Your Enemies of the Thing You're Doing, the SVR, Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service, has come out swinging, accusing the United States of plotting a color revolution in Georgia after the upcoming elections. Yes, you heard that right. Russia, the country that redefined the term election meddling, now wants you to believe that America is plotting to overthrow governments by organizing, well, peaceful protests. Now, for those of you keeping score at home, let's take a moment to remember Russia's greatest hits in this genre. We're talking about the country that annexed Crimea by sending in the little green men and then said, "What invasion? These are just vacationers with military-grade hardware and kit." And who could forget the attempted poisoning of their own former spy turned renegade in the UK, Sergei Skripal, where they claimed the nerve agent used was just fancy perfume, you know. But back to the point. Russia, the undisputed heavyweight champion of sowing chaos abroad, now wants us to believe that the US is planning to do exactly what Russia's been doing for years. It's like the pot calling the kettle black, while the kettle is wondering why the pot's got "Made in Russia" written at the bottom of it. But honestly, this accusation is just par for the course. The Kremlin's disinformation playbook is like that one guy who always accuses people of cheating on Monopoly, right after you catch them with a stack of $500 bills under the table. It is projection at its finest. Blame your opponent for what you're guilty of and hope nobody notices the tank parked behind your back. So as Georgia gears up for elections set for this fall, let's keep our eyes open and our BS detectors on high alert. Because when Russia starts pointing fingers, it's usually to distract from what their own hand is up to. Now let's talk about the latest flex from Russian state TV that just screams, "We didn't think this through, did we?" So, Russian propagandist Yevgeny Popov recently decided to show off a sign from the captured Ukrainian village of New York during a news broadcast. Yes, there is a New York in Ukraine, and Russia is apparently quite proud of snatching it. They're gloating about capturing a town named after one of the most famous cities in the world. It makes sense, okay, but while Popov is busy waving that sign around like a trophy, the Ukrainian army has been making themselves pretty comfortable in Russia's Kursk region. And when I say comfortable, I mean they've practically moved into the place. So maybe the Russians shouldn't be so cocky about their souvenirs, because at this rate, it might not be long before a sign from Kursk ends up back in Ukraine with a big bow on top. So Popov and company might want to tone down the bragging before they end up giving Ukrainians a chance to do some redecorating of their own. Because if this war has taught us anything, it's that things have a funny way of coming full circle. And next time, they will be holding a giant neon sign saying, "Maybe we shouldn't have done that after all." Now, there is this video that has surfaced featuring three elderly ladies, let's call them the Babushka Brigade, or missile matriarchs maybe. They're just delighted over Russia's recent $1.2 billion missile attack on Ukraine's infrastructure. These grandmas are more excited about explosions in the neighboring country than, say, feeding their grandchildren. And that is saying something. Three ostensibly sweet-looking grannies, the kind you'd expect to be knitting scarves or spoiling their grandkids with candy, are instead sitting around praising missile strikes like they're discussing the latest episode of their favorite soap opera. Take a look.
Сегодня в новостях мы видим, как наша Российская Федерация ведет атаку по украинским инфраструктурам. Я считаю правильно вот это все. Это еще и мало. Надо им немножко по Киеву, по Банковской. Надо дать хороший ответ, чтобы они больше не лезли в нашу страну, чтобы больше у них не было замысла никакой границы больше ни в Брянске, никуда. Надо бить по Киеву. Я считаю, это все правильно. Которое все идет ответка им за наш курс.
Мне приятно, что наше правительство приняло такое решение. За курс это еще мало. Надо было отплачивать по полной программе, то есть полностью снести центр Киева, где киевское правительство.
Я тоже считаю это правильным, потому что надо было давно. Они поняли, что Россия молчит, поэтому надо России дать отпор им, чтобы они знали, что это такое. И больше, чтобы не трогали Россию. Победа будет за нами. Украина, Зеленский, это...
Пешка.
Да, пешка, марионетка
американских
в руках американцев, да. Они им как хотят, так и крутят. А ему все дай, ему все мало. Когда он наестся, неизвестно.
Ну, в общем, в этой игре НАТО проиграет тоже. При всех их поставках на Украину, это заметно сейчас, что уже силы их на истощении, техника бьет, то есть наши солдаты разбивают полностью натовскую технику, их наемников.
Они ответят за наших детей, за наших стариков, за все. Америка ответит.
I mean, when did bingo nights get replaced with ballistic missile fan clubs? Is there a secret society of warmongering grandmas we didn't know about? Do they trade cookie recipes and tips on targeting infrastructure? This is a snapshot of how disturbingly normalized aggression has become in certain parts of Russian society. When your elders are cheering on destruction like it's halftime show, you know things have taken a rather dark turn. Now, in his latest program, Russia's very own hype man for hysteria, Vladimir Solovyov, is at it again. This time, he's going full medieval, claiming that Russia is, wait for it, fighting against absolute Satanism, as in pitchforks, pentagrams, and apparently, well, Western democracies. According to Solovyov, this isn't just a war over land or politics. No, this is the war the West has declared on Russia. The West and, well, Lucifer, apparently.
Противостоим абсолютному сатанизму. И поэтому сейчас Русь пробуждается. Поэтому каждый, который чувствует в себе силы, понимание, осознание, может сделать свой выбор. 117. Набираешь номер. 117. И вливаешься в ряды своих. Идешь защищать Родину. Это война, которую нам объявил Запад. Это война. Война.
Dial 117. Why not dial 666, the number of the beast instead? I mean, absolute Satanism. I knew I should have broken up to my Dark Throne t-shirt or something. I mean, just picture it. NATO generals sitting around the table, not discussing defense strategies or military logistics, but instead plotting how to summon Beelzebub to take down the Kremlin. It's like Solovyov took a wrong turn at Conspiracy Theory Street and ended up in full-blown fantasy land. Russia's propaganda machine has been cranking up the crazy so high that folks are actually nodding along, thinking, yeah, that checks out. NATO is totally in league with Satan. Like, you know, all these bands in the 90s were in league with Satan. In conspiracy, actually, or also bragging about it. Yeah, that makes sense. And this is hardly about the West waging war on Russia now. It's about Russia's propagandists waging war on reality. And in that war, they actually are the only ones losing. Well, that's the truth of it. So, with this satanic excursion into the minds of Russian propagandists, we end this episode. Please stay with us here on TVP World for more latest news and updates.